nation, Hebrew kingdom building.
Mashiach, our Adonai, letting us know the times that we're going to be living in, right? So let's read it again. Matthew 24, starting at verse 3.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came up to him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Yahusha answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Now, so we see right there again, I know we've been harping on that, but we want to reiterate that continuously, that at the end of the age and the end of the world, the deception would be at its all-time peak, where it'd be hard to tell the difference between the truth and the lie. It'd be hard to tell the difference between what's real and what's real reality and what's not. Right. The world as we know it, it's not what we actually live in.
Right.
So Yahusha, he was really warning us, be very, very careful that you be not deceived, because deception would be everywhere.
God. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Adonai, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Mm-hmm. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
All right, so we see all of these wars and things that's going to happen. These things must come to pass, because everything has to play out prophetically. The people of the book, which is the true children of Israel, the true Yahudim, the Yehudi, had to go through the perspective of coming into a covenant. Right, and coming to a covenant with the Most High, and Most High binding himself to this people, making this people his, and saying that he would forever be with this bloodline until the end. But it's so many things that had to happen. We had to come, and we broke the covenant, all the consequences of the curses and the things that came upon us as a people, and not just us as a people, but came upon the world. That's why it says the earth is groaning. God. And manifestations waiting on the sons to return. So it's so much stuff that has to happen with wars and rumors of wars and kingdom against kingdom and nation against nation for this thing to come to its full. So Yahuwah can come in and bring the judgments that he desired to bring against the wicked. But the wicked their iniquity has to get to the full. God. Right? And we living in a time that the enemy and his deception and the rulers of darkness, iniquity is just increasing day by day. And Yahuwah is allowing that because it's a certain type of judgment that he want to repay them. So all of these things have to happen. The wars, the rumors of war, that's why he said, but be not afraid, because these things have to be fulfilled, because he spoke that it shall be fulfilled. Hallelujah.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
So, listen, when you hear that, you got to understand what that means. We think, a lot of times we read the scriptures and we don't read them circumspectly. Like, for instance, you hear the word nation and kingdom, you think, oh, nations and kingdom, you think the same thing. A nation and a kingdom is two different things. A nation goes back to nationality. A kingdom has a location.
Right.
So when he says nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom, you're talking about ethnicity against ethnicity and territory against territory. Right. And so one of the main things that it's talking about is the rise of nationalism. that at the end of the age there'll be a rise in nationalism. So during the time of Mashiach, that's what happened. You know that they had to return back from Babylon, and of course they was in captivity for X amount of years before his birth. But in the context of the Romans coming after, seceding people, trying to invade, at the time of the Greeks and all that. So there was all these different groups who were Yehudi nationalists. You had the Zealots, you had the Sakari, you had the Bar Kokhbas, you had all these different groups that was running around who were like Yehudi nationalists, Yehudim, and they wanted their country back.
Right.
And so they thought when Mashiach came, for surely he gonna, because they read the scriptures, they know what Mashiach does at the end of the age. He gonna come and he gonna do this and undo what the Romans did, but there wasn't time for that yet because all other things had to be fulfilled. That's because Mashiach talking about how all things in the scripture had to be fulfilled. He kept talking about there's another flock, right? There's a whole other flock that nobody knew about. That's what we starting to see in the context of the awakening, is that you pay attention close to these scriptures, that it's talking about a whole nother time. Like the fullness of this thing was all about a whole different time period. Everything was looking to this time. Even in the context of, we look at the prophecies in Genesis 15 and Deuteronomy 28, if you start really digging into what really happened and stuff, is wild. That I don't want to get too off track, before we even dive into some of this stuff, but it get deep. I mean, even when we talking about Egypt, me and Chief have been looking into some of this stuff. Egypt again, when you start really doing the research, you'll find out that America, specifically South America and of course North America, back in the time of Pangea, it was one big continent. You see that even in the scriptures with Peleg, and they talk about the great earthquake and when the nations were divided, or the peoples were divided. Oh, my bad. You go look, it actually says the arrest.
Right.
The arrest was divided. Right. The word it uses, arrest, is talking about the actual earth. Right. And if you put it together, you will see that America was connected to Africa. Right. And so and then if you go look at even the context of the prophecies, or the scriptures, I should say, concerning Noah, all the stuff that Noah used to build the ark, that stuff was found in America. All these different, there's a ton of books from, especially the time of the so-called founders of America, where they had wrote about America being, at one point in time, Egypt. Right. So I mean Egypt, I don't mean like the Egypt over there ain't Egypt, this is Egypt. What I'm saying is that potentially, this was an Egyptian colony, a colony that was ruled by Mizraim. And we see it even in the context of the pyramids and stuff in America. Most people don't know this, but the oldest pyramids in the world are in America. It's not in Africa.
Wow.
Right? So when the scripture says you go to Egypt again by ship, that's literally what happened, And we went into this this current captivity. And now, since we've been here, what are we seeing? A rise in nationalism. Right? The wars and rumors of wars. So here comes the same cycle, because Yahuwah does everything. What cycle? Seed time and harvest keep coming every single year. Every single year, the chaff gonna be burned and the wheat gonna be taken.
Come on, man.
So it's always gonna be that. It's not like we looking for something different to happen. Because the format has already been laid out. So nationalism is huge. We see what's really going on right now in America, in Egypt, in Babylon, is what the scripture calls it. We know that things are right around the corner.
Yeah, man, that's it. And it just show you that, like I said, when the nations start coming against the nations and the kingdom against the kingdom, that's also Yahuwah coming in and confounding the nations and the agreements that they had against each other. Right? You can see that. Let's go real quick. The Joel, and you can kind of see what's happening and why it's happening. You got to know how the Joel chapter 3. Okay. You got to look at, and Yahuwah is in the nations against the nations, and the kingdoms against the kingdom. Knowing now, remember, Yahuwah had already spoke that we wouldn't be included in that because we would be the tail, and the remembrance of us won't be in the earth. So we wouldn't even be considered a nation, right? To be in the mix of the nations. Exactly. We wouldn't be considered to be a kingdom, to be in the midst of the kingdom against kingdom, right? But Yahuwah is going to stir up the kingdom against the kingdom, the nation against the nation, but it's a reason why. Right? And there's an end to it that's happening. But that's why he's telling us, don't be afraid. Don't allow it to trouble you. All things have to be fulfilled. Right. I told y'all was going to be scattered through Luke 21 until all the kingdoms of the earth and to the lands of your enemies. I told you that was going to happen, right? But now let's see what's happening in the midst of that so we can understand why the nations are going against the nations and the kingdom against the king. Verse 1.
For behold, in those days, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda.
All right, so in those days, right, that's talking about future tense, and in that time, so that's an end time connotation to it. It says that I'm going to bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, right? When they bring it again, it's almost talking about going back almost like in Deuteronomy 30. It talks about that when the blessing and the cursing came upon the people, I'm going to cause those things to come back to your mind, to come back to your memory.
Right.
So when I bring again the captivity of Jerusalem, that means I'm breaking the bands off of their mind, of the captivity out of their mind. But at the same time, start looking at the confusion of the nation in the midst of it. Let you know that the end is near, right? Let's keep going.
And I will also gather all nations.
So while you're awakening, while you're waking up, I'm going to gather all nations.
And will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat.
I will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? That's that. No longer also talking about bringing that to the valley of judgment. It's judgment for the happen.
Right.
That's going on with these nations, right? And what are they going to do?
And I will plead with them there for my people.
Now, that pleading for his people ain't begging.
No.
You go read Isaiah 66. He said, I plead with fire and brimstone and tornadoes and whirlwind.
That means indictment.
Indictments is handed out. God.
Yep.
So we got to look at, even when the scripture talks about when we see him, we shall be as him, when he shall appear. Now, we be always looking for him to break the sky, right? For him to come back in that aspect. But when judgment comes, that's him appearing.
Right.
That's him pleading with you. Right. So this is why we'll see certain nations that have been broken down, even like how America has been breaking down now. That's all Yahuwah. Because you would say, I'm finna start pleading with you, and bringing you into judgment. And I'm going to start destroying the strength that you have. I'm going to break the pride of your power now. Right? And that's me pleading with you face to face. Right? And then he'll go to these other nations and start pleading with them, causing things that happen where they was once strong. They was once the authority in the earth. And he starts stripping it. And start breaking their covenants that they had with each other. Right? Getting to a certain point. Keep going. I'll let y'all have something on that.
Yeah, I mean, you talking about fire. My mind is the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? And so the context is that they're gonna all get brought down to where Jerusalem, and it's gonna be a trap, right? So this is one of the biggest trap right now is Jerusalem, So we back at that man. And so what's going on? And Yahuwah had gave Chief a word about Israelites being in, even in that area, to be careful because, and Yahuwah has spoken to me the same thing about that Israel days are over, and it's going to be a major event that takes place there. All the nations going back to the nation against nation, ethnicities, the Saudis, the Turks, Hamas, and the Jordanian groups, and all that kind of stuff. Yemen, it's like all this foment that's going on as far as that war. And this is the thing that I want to bring out. And it's terrible. Listen, man, what they did to the Palestinians is terrible. I mean, it's just the most terrible stuff we ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Outside what happened to us. But this is what I'm gonna say. This is not trying to belittle what happened to them because it's terrible. But this is what we gotta understand about what Yahuwah said about Jerusalem, right? He said, "He that leads in captivity,
come on,
must go in captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword." So what happened is, like, as terrible as all this stuff is, because it's awful what they doing. there's other history that people don't talk about.
Come on.
Like people don't, like for instance, you can go find videos about the inhabitants of East Jerusalem and Jerusalem prior to the Ottoman Empire. So like the Ottoman Empire is like this whole secret agreement amongst the peoples. It's not completely secret. It's not secret like the Moorish Empire.
Right.
But it's still secret in the context of a lot of the nations that came from the invasion of the Ottomans have been named different nations or assumed to be nations that are not really no places. Like for instance, even Iran, you know, the Persians and stuff. You think that the Persians are the real inhabitants of that territory, but the real inhabitants of that territory is the Elamites.
Right.
So if you go look at, you know, take your time, go look up pictures of ancient Elamites.
I'm telling you.
They darker than us.
Right.
They the original inhabitants of that land, but what happened is that during the time of the Ottoman Empire, all them territories were invaded by the Turks, and they assumed the identity of all those places. Like even the word Iran, the root of it, because I was like, man, where did the word come from? The root of it go back to Aryan. That's the root of that word is Aryan. And then we start pronouncing that as Iran. But they're not the original Persians. Right. They're not the Medes that they're reading about the scriptures.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they're in land now, but the gist of it is that whole territory was like that. Palestinians are the remnant of the Ottoman Empire that took over Jerusalem. They brung the original black people there into captivity. There's a video on BET. Right. And it's an older guy. It's the wild thing. He's like my dad. That's the thing that shocked me. This dude looks like my dad. He lives in East Jerusalem. He looks like my dad. So he's talking about, he's like a leader of like the Palestinians. And he's in East Jerusalem. And listen, they call them Afro-Palestinians. Afro-Palestinians look exactly like us. I'm not talking about kind of, sort of. Like, Afro-Palestinians look more like us. In some cases, more than some Africans do in other parts of the country. Right,
correct.
And the man was sitting there, he was talking about the Turks and how, you know, the Turks came there and, you know, they got regulated East Jerusalem. And then later on, you know, you had what they call the Armenian genocide. And then it was black people that was involved in Armenian genocide. And so, and then so the time passed, and that's the reason why like most of the monuments and stuff that's in Jerusalem is named after Muslims, right? Or walls of the Muslims, it's like it's some Muslim sultan or something like that. That was in Jerusalem that had named all this stuff after himself, and it was because of the Ottomans took it over, right? And then the remnant of them, because then they gave it over to the British, it became the Turks, which we now call Palestinians, right? So because they, you know, because the British started calling it Palestine. And so now you had this remnant of those people that stayed there, but they had took it from the black people. And so then here come the British, and the British like, okay, you do, I mean, for a little while until we bring the Jews, because now the Jews need a homeland. We want to talk about that, how they went through 5-6 different homelands.
They did.
Though I want to talk about that. Nobody talk about how they want to be in with part of Africa.
Oh, man. No. Uganda. That was supposed to be the state of Israel.
Right. Uganda was supposed to be the state of Israel. No, like nobody gonna talk about it. And they were talking about coming to America. Right. Then that didn't pan out. So it's like, oh, you know, maybe we might go to Jerusalem. Now it's we had to do that because it's our homeland. It's not this, all this other stuff.
And let the Christians tie prophecies to it.
Right. All these different prophecies. But you go, this is fact. This is not. This is a historical fact. This is where they were trying to go to Uganda.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So. And then you got to ask yourself, why Uganda?
Right. That's true.
What's so special in Uganda they want to go there for a so-called Jewish homeland?
That's a great question.
So they come over there take the land viciously from the Ottomans, the Ottoman Turks that we call Palestinians. And then who's at the bottom of the barrel? Afro-Palestinians. The original inhabitants of Jerusalem. Right? Because Jerusalem is East Africa.
Right.
Because not too far from that, you're going to find Sudan, Ethiopia, and all them other places.
Right.
But the gist of it is, either leaves in captivity, go into captivity. What's the issue? Gaza. Right. So people forget it's prophesied about Gaza. Amos 1, right? Verse Amos 1 verse 5.
Okay.
Right?
That's crazy.
I will break also the bar of Damascus.
That's the reason why the last couple of years all this stuff led up was Syria. Remember the whole thing about Syria using chemical weapons, running out Bashar al-Assad? All that stuff led up from Syria first. All right, keep going.
And cut off the inhabitants of the plain of Avin.
Right?
And him that holdeth the scepter from the house of Eden.
So they finally ran out al-Assad and all his people leading into this year. And this is where everything started. We know there was conflict before, but everything started grappling and going through the roof. Right?
And the people of Syria shall go into captivity.
So what happened about 4 years ago? Remember when they raised that war against Syria? America went over there and bombed them. And the people of Syria went all over the world.
Right.
And the whole issue was, should America take in Syrian refugees?
Right.
They was going here, they was crossing over the river trying to go on places in Africa.
Right.
They was trying to go to Europe. And it was the whole thing about who going to take these Syrian refugees.
Right.
Call them nomads.
Right.
Yep.
Okay?
And the people of Syria shall go into captivity unto Ker, saith Adonai.
Why? Thus says what?
Thus saith Yahuwah.
For what?
For 3 transgressions of
So
Gaza.
this is the thing. So when you go back to who the people that the so-called Syrians are the same people that the so-called Palestinians. Because that was all Ottoman rule. The Ottomans took Syria, the Ottomans took Palestine, the Ottomans took Iran, the Ottomans took Iraq. They took over all that territory. And then eventually, because they took over and that whole swath of North Africa, right? So it's the same people. So it goes directly from so-called Syrians to now dealing with who? Gaza. So keep going.
And 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof.
So Yahuwah promised there's going to be a judgment that goes on in Gaza.
Man, for 3 transgressions.
For 3 transgressions.
Because they carried away the captive, the whole captivity.
What?
The whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom.
So who ended up taking control of Palestine? Who made a deal with Palestine?
Man.
Right?
Right.
So now Palestine just been getting the original inhabitants just got passed around. First they was under the Ottomans, then they got shipped to the British. Now they dealing with the Jews. Now they dealing with America, and then just like they just a pawn in the game,
right?
For the most part,
right.
And so we know there's black Edomites and all that kind of stuff,
right?
We ain't getting into that, but you get what I'm saying. The power structure,
yeah,
right.
So keep going.
But I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof. And I will cut off the inhabitants from Ashdod, and him that holdeth the scepter of Ashkelon, and I will turn mine hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, saith Adonai.
Right. So here we go. Because like this is the whole thing that's going on right now is this war that Yahuwah promised that would take place in Gaza. Right? Because at the end of the day, none of them people are from there.
Right. No.
They're not from there.
Right.
And this goes back to Jeremiah when he said, Yahuwah says that every nation, then people are going to return back to their own land.
Right.
And so right now, the land is, even, like, I'm not saying that that's, it's speculation whether or not that's even Jerusalem. I ain't saying that.
Right.
I'm not making that argument.
Right.
But the context is that's the land that Yahuwah promised to the people.
That's right.
Whether, the continent was given to Shem and Quam. Or
That's it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was of the ancestors, so it's not given to the invaders.
Right.
So eventually Yahuwah's going to drive them out. The land going to spew them out.
Right.
But that land had to be occupied by Gentiles because Yahusha prophesied that was going to happen.
Right.
And now the judgment, and just for those that don't know, Luke 21, it says, for the days of vengeance, verse 22, for the days of vengeance, that all that is written may be fulfilled. Verse 24, and it says, they which is the Israelites shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led captive into all nations. And watch this, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Goyim until the days of the Goyim be fulfilled. So we see that now Jerusalem is trodden down, but nothing but Goyim. But then Yahuwah is still judging that.
Right.
And then, like, that's still a form.
Man.
the scattering, because they scattered us, because the judgment was on us. Now I had to come back to it.
Right.
Man. You want me to go back to Joel 3?
Yeah, you finished reading that.
Okay. Starting at verse. Well, I'll finish verse 2. I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them.
Now watch all this, and Chief just laid it out. But all this is happening.
Right.
Pleading with the nations, them fighting against each other, kingdom against kingdom, and nation against nation, is for a reason.
Right.
Why you is stirring it up. Keep going. What's this reason?
I will plead with them there for my people.
For my who?
People.
For my people. He has a people.
God.
This is Yahuwah talking to himself.
Right.
For my people and my what?
My heritage.
And my heritage. Now, if we don't know who the people and the heritage is, the next line says who it is.
Right.
Some people be acting crazy.
They are crazy. It doesn't matter anymore. It came for the church. Right. I don't see that here. I'm looking right here at the verse. Because you like y'all said earlier, because what they say the day of Yahuwah is what? A great and terrible day.
Right.
So that's what you're looking forward to, but you don't know what you're looking forward to.
Right.
Man, praise the Lord. And for my heritage, Yahusha, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. That's also what went down at what? In 70 AD.
Right.
They descended upon Israel, destroyed all the people, and parted their ways. Everybody got a cut, just like they've always done. There's parts of what? You look at the Caribbean.
Right.
The British own this part. The French own this part. The U.S. owns this part. Everybody breaking bread off of everything.
Right.
Man.
No, that's good right there. You can go back to, unless y'all want to keep going on that.
You want to keep?
Yeah, we can go back to 24 now.
Okay.
We just wanted to kind of bring out the nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom.
And I'm going to start with verse 3 on Matthew 24. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? So that's what we basically brought out, when those things shall be. And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And Yahusha answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Adonai Yahusha. I shall deceive many. So somebody gonna come saying they Yahusha, but their name gonna be Jesus.
Right.
And they gonna deceive everybody.
Right. Or any other construct of a way of any type of salvation or sovereignty for that perspective.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For the nation shall rise against nation, and the kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes and diverse places. How many earthquakes has there been lately?
So that's the thing. The earthquakes, you know, it's wild, man. It's such an agenda. Everything got an agenda.
God.
Because, you know, me and she was looking at the stuff with the earthquakes. So everybody know, if you've been online, earthquakes just been going nuts all over the place. So I was putting in Google, I said, rise in earthquakes. They said, no, there hasn't been any rise in earthquakes. It's like, what? Wow. Then I seen another article, sudden rise in earthquakes. Basically, so Google AI is telling me, no, there's not no rise in earthquakes. And then articles about how there are rising earthquakes. So it's like, the whole thing is one big agenda. But yeah, like, man, listen. There's been so many earthquakes, especially around the Ring of Fire and around the places where they call the subduction zones, where the major earthquakes, the mega earthquakes might take place. And then it's wild because Mashiach says in diverse places, because I forgot, it's diverse places.
Right.
So there's been earthquakes in diverse places. Like, for instance, there's been earthquakes in South Carolina like the last couple of weeks.
Which would be unheard of if we talked about this 30 years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
And so there's something going on with the magma that's going on, like up under the earth. There's all these articles about magma chambers getting closer to the earth. There's these things, they call them doomsday fish. They say that they only show up in the time of like a major catastrophe because they like these deep sea fish that come to the surface. They're like monsters, but they come up and they watch them on the surface, and they say anytime you see a deep sea fish, that means a mega catastrophe is about to take place. So that's happening. The sea is extremely hot. You know, everything's heating up, so that's what's contributing to the wild weather. And so when you talking about diverse places, it's really happening. And like for instance, a couple of weeks ago, what's going on with Yellowstone, and Yellowstone started having all these mini earthquakes and tremors to the point that all the animals started to leave. Right. Like they started seeing bears stuff like leaving the park.
Right.
And anytime you see animals moving and migrating like that, you know there's something that's coming. And so this is one thing that you will have me looking at is his phrase "fire next time," right? Because you know, who will be saying stuff? It just be going right over my head. You know, I have to go back and look at it and finally understand what he really talking about. But when he talks about Babylon, so all the prophecies about Babylon deal with fire.
Right.
Whether you talking about Revelations and you seeing the smoke rising as people return back, they look back, see the smoke, and then all the nations crying because of her. You know, they no longer and this is wild. They no longer can participate in trade. So what's been going on with America for the last 6 months?
Oh wow.
Trade wars.
Right.
And trade has been breaking down with all the nations. And nations been complaining, and it's been like wars that's brewing out of what? Trade. So that's what you see going on in Revelation is this whole thing about nations crying about trade.
Right.
And this is as the nation goes up in smoke. You look at Jeremiah, same thing. Jeremiah sees all like this prophecy about smoke, clouds, and all this other stuff, and the destruction of Babylon. It said it would never be inhabitable again. Mashiach talk about it'd be like Sodom and Gomorrah. And so all these things about, you know, whatever that happens at this time with this place is going to be dealing with fire. So Yahuwah had dealt me about the comment from the time of Noah when he said, you know, won't be water but fire next time. Because everything that Yahuwah do is in a series of cataclysmic events. Like we read the scriptures from Bereshit, first thing we learn is that it was a cataclysmic event.
Right.
And then after that, he comes and he brings back the order, and then there's another cataclysmic event. And it's like, so, and this is the reason why they knew him as Shaddai. Right. So, but if we looking at this thing, when after Noah made his sacrifice, and that's a whole other conversation, we'll be talking all day about that. I'm not trying to get too long with it about it, because that's a whole other thing. Like, what happened with Adam, and then Yahuwah made this comment about thorns and thistles. He told Adam, he says, the outer earth going to produce unto you thorns and thistles. And so forever, I thought, oh man, he's going to be outside working all day.
Right. That was the interpretation that we were given.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be sweat of the brow. He's going to be out there sweating. It's going to bring some
thorns and thistles going to be men.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So the thorns and thistles was his children.
Right.
Immediately.
Right.
Because Mashiach is the same parable about thorns and thistles rising up and choking out the wheat and causing the seed to perish.
Right.
So what happened? Here come his seed, and then his the wheat, the tare rise up and then choke out the seed, and then you hear his son dies. So and it's so bad. So when they give the genealogy of Adam, they just skip over him.
Right.
Skip over him and Habel and go right into Seth.
Right.
Man.
So going back to these thorns and thistles, then so when Noah makes his sacrifice, Yahuwah says, so it's wild because when Noah was born, the word that was given was that it was prophesied that Noah going to be born to deliver them with a curse concerning the ground.
Yes.
Right.
So what does that got to do with water being on the earth?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? What is that?
Right.
That's the proof that it had something else to do with the seed, because when Yahuwah sent the flood, the purpose of send the flood was to do away with the seed. To wipe the earth clean, because when he found Noah, he said he is what? Zadok and Tamim.
Right.
He is righteous and he's pure in his bloodline because everything was corrupt on the earth.
Right.
So he says he'll what? He'll kill all flesh.
Right.
So the killing of all flesh was some kind of way the redemption of the ground.
Right.
So, but then he gives this offering. It's the same thing. So, but then he talks about the whole thing about fire next time. So, that's that thing went over my head. I said, fire next time. And then one day he said, how did it happen the first time? hold up, fire next time. It wasn't the rain. People think that the flood came from raining 40 days and 40 nights. Right. It didn't. Right. The flood came because Scripture says that the fountains of the deep broke up and water shot up from the ground.
Right.
And so, when people start studying it, they understood that this is how the dinosaurs died.
Right.
And because with every dinosaur, you have all these fossils. Fossils don't come from dead animals.
Right.
Like, what I mean by that, man, you eat some chicken, we throw the bones out there, they gonna biodegrade. Right. They gonna disintegrate after a period of time. No, ain't gonna come no fossil. Right. So, in order for you to have fossil, you gotta have water, mud, and pressure.
Right.
And so a lot of these animals was fossilized in the middle of them eating.
Right.
Being preserved.
Right. So that means that instantly they had to be covered in mud and water and pressure. Right. So when these things shot up from the middle of the earth, it was like a geyser exploding. Right. Water going all like straight up in the air, and then sediment setting on things, killing it and freezing it in time. Right. Impacted it with the water weight from the water because the water rose up because that's why it was so much water. Right. Because it came up from the deep, and then setting them in stone. Over the years, so we can dig them up and then have this witness that they was there. Right. But that's why scientists said it, like, again, they got some animal fossils with food still in their mouth. Right. So that means that thing happened like, boom. Right. Immediately.
Right. Or there was animals that was fighting.
Exactly. So immediately, right? So when you look at that, it's like, man, from the fire next time, that means that this next thing is going to be with volcanic eruptions. Right. That's the way it happened the first time with the water. Right. The exact same process.
Because of the violation of the land.
Exactly.
That's why, because that goes back even when you look at Leviticus 26.
Right.
The land shall enjoy what? Their Shabbats, because they're free of you.
Right.
Because what happens is the earth starts, that's the groaning of the earth for the sons of men to be revealed. Right. To shoot out. It's to cry out from the earth. Like there's a response that you heard me.
Right.
And now it erupts. Oh, man, it's wild, Chief.
Yeah.
Man, go ahead.
That's it. So, because and then like you compare that with all the other prophecies, like you look at Job when he talks about moon turning blood and sun being blocked out and all that kind of stuff. That's what happens during the volcanic eruption. Volcanic ash goes up, covers the sky.
Right.
Sun turns red.
Right.
Moon turns red, and then sun blotted out. So you look at these things like, and then the clouds. Those are like the same thing as the clouds. They talk about in Revelation that they see from afar. How do you see a cloud from afar? It has to be from the eruption or the explosion.
Right.
So. Anyway, so all these things is coming upon us.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. You can see men as thorns and thistles against the righteous, and you who are having to judge that. And then that going into looking at the judgment. If it's going to be like fire next time, it's going to be fire next time. That means it has to be from the earth.
Right.
A lot of times we looked at it, and I did. I always would think, it's going to come. Through the breath of his mouth, blow. All type of fire.
Right.
But it would have to be the same concept, right? Of the fire the water that came up and erupted, and now you're talking about a greater destruction, man. Volcano eruption, and destroying from all over, and the land spewing out, man. Just to add some scriptures, just in case somebody think that we just talking when we say right. I'm going to run through it real quick. Numbers 33 and 55. But it says, but if you would not drive out the inhabitants of the land, it's talking about Israel before you, then it shall come to pass that those which left remain there, they shall be pricks in your eyes, thorns in your sides, and shall vex you in the land where you dwell.
That's what Shaul was talking about.
Talk to
him in my flesh.
Come on, man.
But Yahuwah wouldn't remove it.
Come on.
But why? Because he's like, I'm going to keep the men beside you because that's what's making you.
Right.
That's to go back what you were talking about, no Hebrew left behind, where we looking for Mashiach in all things. I can't remove it because if I remove it, then you won't see me.
Right.
You'll be overtaken by it. This is what's going to keep you dedicated to me, because you're going to keep looking for me, because you're going to keep getting pricked, because you're going to look for relief from the pain, because they can't give you relief because they are the afflicted.
They are the
So you're going to look for the one that can give you relief.
Right. Now that's it. We thought that. We thought that dog was throw it to the side was everything. We done gave Shaul a disease.
Right.
We said the man crippled and lip.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We said some people say he had a problem with lust.
Right.
Man, they don't give him no break. Joe ain't never
Go
break.
ahead, hold up, man.
Save the child.
All right, let's finish that up. Just 23 and 13. Know for certainty that your Lord will more drive out any of these nations from before you. But they shall be snares and traps. Joshua 23 and 13, I'm sorry. And they shall be snares and traps unto you, scourges in your sides, thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off the land which you have given you. Judges 2 and 3. Wherefore I said, I will not drive them all out before you, but they shall be thorns in your sides, and their lure shall be a snare. Right. Proverbs 15 and 19. The way of the slothful man is as a hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous shall be plagued. Back to what Shleet was saying in Leviticus about how the land will begin to spew you out and fight and manifest on the will of Yahuwah. Leviticus 18:28 and says, and if you defile the land, it will vomit you out as it vomited out the nations that were before you. That land is living now. Right. Believe that.
Man.
And that when Israel came to covenant, he said, I'll bring also the Shammai and the Eretz as a witness
against you.
Come on, man.
Man, yeah.
That means that the earth is a living being that Yahuwah has created.
So now we got to look. So as you saying that, now we got to look at that parable with Mashiach saying, who are the thorns and thistles that come and take that word from you?
Right.
In the parable.
Right, because now you talking about men because you received it with joy, and then somebody come and rain on your parade. Yeah. So now we got to understand what we really dealing with. So those are thieves that come because he said, I didn't plant those. No. So we got to really look at this thing when we said, man, now that's a whole different revelation now. All right, Matthew 24 about America. And I said, I know it's going to sound strange when I say this. It's not real.
Oh, right.
Why? Because there's no truth in it. Right. The only thing that can sustain and last got to be true. Right. If something gets destroyed, there was a lack of truth somewhere. Right. So that's what we got to look at, because the kingdom that never ends is what? Full of truth. Right. Because his word is what? Everlasting. Right. So that means there was something outside of his word that came. There was something outside of his will that came that the earth had to vomit out. Right. Because there was something that wasn't true. Right. So that means that there was a time, even before he gave it to us as a witness against us, there was a witness against other people that were here.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So we got, you know what I'm saying? We got to take all this in with a grain of salt for real.
Right. And then it says, these are the beginning of what?
Sorrow.
So you look that word up, it talks about birth pains. Many people might say that, there have been many earthquakes and famines and pestilence and all of that. But it's the same way as a woman when she's pregnant. That's why the scripture call it birth pain.
Right.
That the closer and closer that she gets to that baby being revealed, coming through the matrix, being born, what happened to the birth pains? They become increasingly more rapid. Right. And the more rapid they come, through minutes apart. This is why if you married and your wife been pregnant,
right?
All the men might sit there with their watch, trying to help their wife to find out when the contractions happen, how much time, and the closer it gets,
right?
You know that the baby is coming. So that's the same way. The more and more frequent all of these things is happening, you know that it's that Yahusha Mashiach coming. But it's still deception behind it all.
Right. Absolutely.
So the thing though is, it's not even Yahusha Mashiach.
Right.
It's the Son. the earth. So go back to the growth, the pains, right? So the pains is happening. Those are birth pains. What are they birthing? So remember, it's the earth that groans in travail of the manifestation of who? The sons.
The sons of the Lord.
The sons. So we know that Mashiach is the chief.
Right.
He also is the father of these sons.
That's right.
But the context is that Mashiach, even if you go read this as we get down, Mashiach will start talking about the Son of Man.
Right.
He starts talking about, he's pointing you to the Kodashim.
Right.
Right? Because the idea is that when he came to set, he came to set the kingdom. It's the kingdom. He's a Melech of Malakim.
Come on.
Man.
So even the
I'll say that
prophet,
again.
he's the Melech of Malakim.
So if he's a Melech and a Shamayim,
Then
where's some of the Melechs got to be?
And the rest.
And the Shamayim.
He can't be a Melech and ain't got no Melech behind.
Because on the rest as it is in the what? No, go ahead, Chief.
No, I was just saying this is the thing. This is one of these mysteries that as you read down, it's gonna start talking about that. Even the next verse. The next verse, you got listen, man, read these fundamental. You pay attention to this next verse. You gonna know that this already took place.
God. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
So if you go back and look, I don't know if it's in Luke. In Luke, he goes on and he says, "You will stand before governors and kings for my sake." Now, you know who stood before governors and kings, and it word for word are those things? Shaul.
Right.
You can go a checklist.
Right.
And every last thing that happened that he said, Shaul did. And then as it goes down, he says that these things, what's happening basically in this generation. That's a specific generation for what happened. And then he comes with another replay, almost like of another time.
Right.
And so, and this is one thing that Yahuwah hit me with. Kingdom of Hashamim is at hand. So when this go back to the Malakim. So, and this go back to all Shaul's writings. When Shaul also talking about the assembly of the firstborn, the just ones made righteous, and the numeral company of Malakim, and all this other stuff. He says all this language about this like group of people that's not really from here, and so but they come here. So, and let's go back to the birth of the sons. So when we look at this, they should deliver you up, and then there's a time that it wasn't.
Right.
And then there was a new time that's coming when the kingdom is at hand again.
Right.
And then that thing when Mom said, hold up. So it's a gap right there. So the time that the kingdom is at hand is when these men are around.
Right.
It's only during that time. He says, what? It's even in you, in your mouth, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So in that time that they was there, they were the representatives of the kingdom. Therefore, they say, repent, for the kingdom of God is what? At hand. Because they're what? At hand.
Right.
And then he talks about that generation. That generation will perish, all them things is fulfilled. Then he talks about another generation. And he says, in that generation, when the Son of Man is strong, he says, when you see this, you know that the kingdom is at hand. Say, hold up now.
Right.
So then the kingdom comes back at a later time.
Right.
And so this is all through the scripture. He talks about tells them about the little flock he got to bring in. He said, I got this flock, I got another flock I got to bring in a specific time. So all these things point to a different time or a different awakening. This is the manifestation of the Son.
Right.
And this is what Yahuwah sent to Shalakim to tell us.
Right.
This is what me and Chief were trying to explain, all the stuff of Yahusha Code, and all these lessons that we were trying to learn. Is that Yahuwah, the whole prophetic nature of a different, there's this different era in time. The awakening is the most important time in the history of Yasharal.
Right.
It's the most important time. Right? Because this is the time when them sons are going to be birthed again. That's why the earth is waiting for it.
Right.
The earth already witnessed the Mashiach.
Right.
You already witnessed the Mashiach. It hasn't witnessed the sons yet, though.
That's right.
God.
So this is the time that we're trying to seek Yahuwah's face. You know, we're the generation that seek Him.
Right.
Of the manifestation of that specific thing.
Right.
But to like a Christian, that's blasphemy, because they ain't never teach you that kind of idea and concept. They taught you that you're just gonna go to heaven in the by and by.
Right.
Not
Be raptured.
Be raptured.
Right.
So anyway,
And verse 10. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. and many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be what? Saved. And this is the what? The sword of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Then shall the end come.
Hallelujah.
So again, this is the thing. So that end came, and then there's another end. Because he talks about that, and then he go down in the scriptures when you hit about 21st verse, he talks about another tribulation. Listen, man, tell you reading this fundamental. If you pay attention, you're like, hold up, he talking about two different times.
Right.
Because right here it says, again, go keep reading.
For then shall, verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not seen the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be.
So this is what we missed. In 14, before we get to that place, it says, and this Basora of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness, and the end shall come. You know what happened in 70 AD?
Oh, wow.
They preached the world through all the nations. The Shalakim went out through all the known world. Preaching this Basora.
Right.
And then after they all died, the nation was destroyed.
Right.
They came and ascended and divided it and took it over.
Right. So all those things in that first part of that prophecy actually took place. And so then, all of a sudden, it starts like it's a reset.
Yeah.
Right? Because then he says what? What verse we at?
Verse 22.
22. Because even after that, let's go back to the Gospel Kingdom 14. Read down.
Okay. Verse 15. You want me to start there?
Yeah.
Okay. And when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So that stuff already took place. All right, keep going.
All right.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
Right.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
So in the days of what? Because the nation already ended.
Right.
So now it's a whole different time.
Right.
All right, keep going.
But pray, I'm sorry, yeah. But verse 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as we not since was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved.
Man.
But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Adonai, or there, believe it not. For there shall also arise a false Mashiach and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, in so much that if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. Behold, I told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning come out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
How we in now?
Right. It just switched again. After those tribulations.
After those tribulations. So that's like 3 tribulations. All this stuff is cycles.
Man. Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the Shamayim, and the powers of the Shamayim shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the Shamayim. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of the Shamayim with power and great majesty, great kabod.
Okay. And keep reading.
And he shall send his Malachim with a great sound of trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds.
All right, so now at this point, if let's be going literal, Mashiach came down, he stopped. He hanged up in the sky. Then he tell the Malachim, go get everybody. So now we see, hey, there go Mashiach. He hanging out up there, and he ain't did nothing now. He just hanging out. Pause. And now he send the Malachim, they go get everybody. All right? We like, man, we jumping up, we can't quite get up there. All right? All right, get going.
He caught up the Beatles. I'm sorry. And he shall send his Malachim with a great sound of the trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the Shamayim to the other. And now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that the summer is nigh.
So what now? Read it 33.
So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door.
So you mean to tell me it's still ain't here? Mashiach is right there. Mashiach is hanging out in the sky with Malachim sitting around, and we still ain't got. It's still not it.
Right.
We sitting there still waiting. We still waiting for the time to come.
But he's stuck.
But he's stuck right there. You can take a plane.
Man.
You can go Delta Airlines. You go Spirit Airlines.
And go see.
And go see you. You ride by like, there go Mashiach. He's sitting in the sky.
Sitting in the sky.
In the chair.
In the chair.
But it's not yet.
It's not
He's
yet.
still waiting on it.
Yeah.
So listen, this is what people don't understand. Understand Hebrew idioms.
Good.
Don't understand what the sign of the Son of Man is in the Shamayim. Why? Because Daniel saw it. Daniel said he saw the Son of Man in the Shamayim. And we went to where? The Ancient of Days. Right?
Man.
And then what? He said, then he had this whole thing when he delivered over the kingdom to them.
Right.
So Daniel started trying to figure out, what is this? What's this thing when the Son of Man appears in the Shamayim and he gets the kingdom, or he gives the kingdom to the Ancient of Days.
Right.
And then he asks, I don't know if it's Gabriel or not, ask him what the meaning of this vision is. Gabriel tells him, this is when the Kodashim received the kingdom.
Right.
The so-called, people use the term saints, which means that is collective of people. So when the Gabriel, the Malachim told him that the Son of Man was a group of people.
Right. Because we are his body.
Right.
The body of Mashiach. He told us a group of people. And then that group of people came to the Ancient of Days.
Right.
And the Ancient of Days gave them the kingdom.
Right.
So now Mashiach is talking about when you see the sign of the Son of Man coming in his clouds and great kabod. So you go back to cloud go back to witnesses.
That's right.
Cloud go back to princes. You go back looking in Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu talks about us returning back to the land. He says what? And you'll see princes riding on horses.
Right.
That's when the kings, the princes of Yehuda come back in. The sea, which means cloud. So now you're seeing the princes or the kingdom function, the skeletal bones of this kingdom coming together.
Right.
And that's why the kingdoms of the earth are what? Mourning. Because they see what? Now they're regathering. Now they're coming back together. Who? The Kodashim.
Right.
That's why the Mashiach could be here and it's still not coming.
Right.
That's why. Because now the sons have manifested.
Right.
So, and this is what it's saying. So, like, if you look at that, you start to understand. He said, oh, yeah. So, they're coming together. The sign of the Son of Man here, but it's everything ain't fully formed yet.
Right.
There's still yet another time until that thing is fully functional.
Right.
That's what the scripture is actually telling you. And that's why, and this time is after them previous times.
Right.
There's like a time of the Shalakim, then there's a time when they were just scattered and running, then all of a sudden here comes this new tribulation, and here comes the sign of the Son of Man.
Right.
And here comes the gathering of the people. He says, go to what? The four corners, the four winds. It's called gathering the people. So now these people are already gathered together in Mashiach. But Mashiach ain't get back yet. But they're not back. So what does that mean? Go to Daniel. Daniel tell you exactly what it means because he asked Gabriel that.
Right.
Gabriel said it was the Kodashim.
Right.
The Kodashim are together now. So now you're going to hear something about the kingdom. Let's keep reading. Finally, we about to get to the kingdom.
Wow, man. So like verse 33. So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. The Shamayim and the Eret shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the Malachim of the Shamayim, the Melechs of the Shamayim, but my only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day of Noah entered into the ark.
So by the way, you get into that day. You understand who they were? Right. They were the fallen.
Right.
The fallen were doing it
Because they had mixed in with the daughters of men.
Right. But because of that, everything was defiled. Right. But keep going.
and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, and one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what the hour your Adonai doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what to watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is faithful and wise servant, whom his Adonai have made ruler over his house, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is the servant whom his Adonai, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Man, so that means you already on your post. Like, so, because people get mad when we say we practicing for the real thing.
Come on.
So that when the real thing comes, you already in participation.
Right.
This is also, because as you brought this out, I was noticing the summertime, wintertime.
Right.
This is talking about going around feast cycles.
Come.
There's appointed times where this thing gonna get closer and closer. And if you look at our feast cycles, each cycle goes to where we get closer and closer.
Right.
Because by the time we get to the 10th, we already in the course. You know what I'm saying? So
can you get Luke 21? Now that part is summarized in Luke 21. Now listen what it says in Luke 21. We already deep into seeing the Son of Man come, the sign of the Son of Man, the gathering of the people. Then he says, when you see this sign, you know it's near, even at the doors. Right. So
start on verse 10.
No, start at verse 26.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Men's hearts shall fail them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of the Shamayim shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory.
All right, so now we read it in Matthew. Mashiach says that's when Mashiach stops, the Son of Man. He comes, he sends the Malachim out, and then after that, you hear that term about it's at the door. Right. So listen what it says now, 27 and 28, because he's summarizing the same speech. Right. Go ahead.
And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great kabod. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws nigh. Wow. And he spoke to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise, ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of Lua is nigh at hand.
That's when it's at hand.
That's when it's at hand. That's when it's
So that's the second time.
Right.
The first time is with them. They came, repent, for the kingdom of Lua is at hand.
Right.
Then they like, people, they came in and they fell off.
Right.
So now we come to the second time. The second time is when the sign of the Son of Man is in the Shamayim.
Right.
That's when the children start gathering together.
Right.
So now all of a sudden the kingdom of Lua is at hand again. This is the time that everything is settled.
Man.
But the question is, do you see it within that time? The next verse say what?
So likewise, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of Lua is nigh at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled.
Right. So this thing has, once those things start to happen, the kingdom has to come within that generation.
Right.
So now we're looking at the context of, we looking at it from Daniel, I think Daniel 7 or whatever, was it Daniel 7 or Daniel 3? The whole thing about the ancient of days and the Son of Man.
That's 7.
That's 7? All right. So the ancient of days and the Son of Man. So if we go look at that, that's the time. That's the sign that he's saying that's going to be in the Shamayim. That's the time of the gathering. We call it awakening. It's when we start gathering together. So now there has to be the kingdom is at now. So now you got to find out what the kingdom is. You got to understand where is it forming at. Where's the body coming together? Because where the eagles are, the carcass is what? Yeah. So that means that wherever the enemies are. Right? So you gotta look at all these clues. I ain't trying to be long in it.
No, that's what it said.
But this is what we talking about when we talking about rebirth of a nation, Hebrew nation building. Because now we have to see and understand, well, who has the structure of this thing?
Right.
Who's trying to establish this thing?
Right.
Because according to Mashiach, now, because we're in that last part of the tribulation, he's looking for that.
Right.
He says, where's the house you built for me?
Right.
Then he goes on and says, I will suddenly return to the temple.
Right.
All that goes back to those that's going to build the waste places, according to Isaiah. Raise up the desolation of many generations. Restores the breach and paths to dwell in. That ancient paths. Who was restoring the ancient paths to dwell in?
Somebody got to restore the ancient. So that would make it put a whole other thing on it, because it go back to the parable of the talents. It go back to when Yahusha said, when I return, should I find faith on the earth? That faith is works. What are you producing to me? Then does the earth look like what I have established in the kingdom? So even when you see this in 45, it's saying it.
Right.
He's going to be looking for what kingdom in the earth is prepared as the kingdom in the Shabbat.
Right.
If you're not building the kingdom,
Then what you doing?
then what you doing? This is not no time when you just doing ministry. This is not no time that you just building churches. He want to see what's been manifested in the heavens, and have you formed it? Are you established it? What's the order of it? What's the excellence of it? What's the honor of it? Right here, verse 45. Who then is a faithful and wise servant? Whom his Adonai hath made him ruler over his household. What are you returning to him? Made him ruler. Same thing as Eleazar.
Gave them meat and
To Abraham.
Yep.
He was a ruler of his whole house.
Right.
Yeah.
Malek.
Made him a leg over his house.
Yeah.
While he was gone.
Right.
That's crazy.
But it says to give them meat in due season. Blessed is the servant whose Adonai, when he come, shall find him doing so. Building and establishing a kingdom.
Right.
Not just a name.
Where his seat?
A kingdom.
Where his seat at?
He want to see where his seat at. He want to see if there's Melachim in the Shamayim, it got to be Melachim in the earth. Ambassadors in the side of the Shamayim got to be ambassadors in the earth. Order in the Shamayim got to be order in the earth. Excellence in the Shamayim got to be excellence in the earth. Right? He want to see, have you prepared a place for me to just naturally come rule?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I want to see my seat and my seat ain't just a throne. My throne to sit on is a people.
Right.
I want to come and sit on my throne and then let the enemies of this kingdom be my foot.
They don't like this talk.
These people gonna be the seat of my throne. So this is what we have to be doing according to Scripture.
Right.
Verse 47.
Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. Over all his goods. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Adonai delay.
It's coming. So he ain't doing that now.
Right.
He the servant that just put his talent back in the ground and just, I'm waiting on him to return. I ain't gonna do no work. Because at the cross.
First saw the light.
And that's all he's talking about.
The law done away with.
Right, the law done away with. We ain't got to do none of that.
Man.
Or even just Israel. All we doing is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You ain't building no kingdom.
Man.
Right? You ain't doing it in the likeness of his son, Yahusha HaMashiach.
Right.
It said that he would speak to us in his day and establish that. So he called you wicked when you're not building this kingdom. Your delay is coming.
Wow. Because you next
Yeah,
because that next verse talks about because you sowing discord. Next verse. And shall begin to smite his fellow servants. And to eat and drink with drunkards. And the Adonai of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him to come. That's to show up. And in that hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. That means I'm going to strip my name off of you.
Yeah, that's Agag.
You've been bearing my name wrong.
Yeah. That's what Dawood did to Agag. I mean, but Samuel did to Agag.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, you said something because you got to look at that. He says, I ain't looking at it from that standpoint. The whole, like, if you read in the context now, you see it.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like when he goes to all that stuff, then he starts going to the faithful and wise servant who was building this thing.
Found him doing the work. Yep.
But then these other people, remember he says that the one who talks about him delaying his coming, he smites the servants. Servants of who? The servants of him. So he goes and smite the ones who are building.
Right. Like they coming against it.
Right.
Talking.
Making videos.
I'll go there. I'll try to be politically correct. But that's what I was going to say.
Making videos, making posts.
Because he think there's a delay. Because the delay is not really saying, because we're looking at it from the English perspective. But the delay means he ain't coming the way you saying.
Right. That's it.
We don't got to do all that you saying.
Right.
But where do you see that this don't take place? Then that means you don't understand the ways of the forefathers. There was always somebody ruling. There was always a ruling class. There was always a working class. There was no such thing as equality. The biggest lie we've been told is equality.
Right.
Because then he wouldn't choose a certain people. He would say, I came back for the world.
Listen, from jump, when Yahuwah created Adam, he made him over everything that was on earth.
Over everything on earth.
Including Malachi. So how is it going to be equality?
Yeah.
Man. You'll find that verse.
Right.
You know. So,
but this is a detour. That's switch. I know now we right to go. So we talked about earthquakes and tornadoes and famine, right? We just but the deception behind it all. Like we're gonna kind of go into how Yahuwah sends judgment. Right, how he is Yahuwah Shaddai, right? How he just a destroyer of all wickedness in the earth and establishing things. But you got to realize that the enemy and the enemy kingdom, you can't do or imagine what you haven't seen. Right. So the enemy, they didn't seen the highest of high. They seen the most high. They seen the king. They seen how he operates. So they're going to set up a kingdom in a perverse way based off of no other information but what they got out of the Shamayim. Right? But with them being at the point of the Most High or the point of worship. Right? So anything that Yahuwah has already established, they're going to mimic it for evil. And we going to see it as natural and don't realize it's exception. Right? Let's read that as Ezekiel.
Start at verse 21. For thus saith Adonai
Now
Yahuwah,
watch this Adonai Yahuwah. He's saying this is how he judged.
how much more when I send my fourth sword judgment upon Jerusalem, the sword, the famine.
Sword, slow down. The sword, and what is the sword? That's war, right? That's a nation coming and destroying and taking you for captive, right? So Yahuwah judges with war, right? This is how the Israelites was able to carry out the judgment on all of the world when they was in the right place with Yahuwah. Even when King David was reigning, he had dominion over the whole earth. And if anybody got out of pocket, he could go bring Yahuwah's judgment to it. Same way it's going to be when we get in the kingdom.
Right.
Let Tabernacle come and you don't show up.
Right.
He's sending us.
And every day that don't show up,
Ain't going to be no rain. Right? He's going to destroy. And then you talking about Joel too. What he's going to do through us with coming in and destroying the nations. He's going to declare warfare and allow his children. Even when you look at Isaiah 63, where it talks about Yahusha. He stood the wine press alone, and he drugged the people. He did all those things. But he says there's going to be a time where the children are going to be like Daoud, and the greatest among them are going to be like Alua. Like we're going to be in there causing havoc on the earth, right? Through Yahuwah using us as war. But on the flip side, when we break the covenant, when we mess up, what happens? He used war through all the different words that came, the Syrians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, that you can name all the rest of them that came and Yahuwah allowed war to be declared on us, take us in captivity. Right, so we see war.
and the famine.
But Yahuwah will send famine to the land in order to pull us out of the land and take away our resources or any other nation that forget him. Keep going.
And the noisome beast.
And the beast.
And the pestilence to cut off from it man and beast. That's a question. Yet behold, therein shall be left a remnant that shall be brought forth, both sons and daughters. Behold, they shall come forth unto you, and ye shall see their way.
All right, that's good. But the main point we want to see how you would judge. We know that he used natural disasters to judge, like he did through the flood, like he did with Egypt, with all of the disasters and natural things that he did to destroy, whether it's through water, whether it's through whirlwind, hurricane, whether it's through fire. Whatever Yahuwah allows his elements to do to bring judgment. But the enemy does the exact same thing through what he can pervert in creation. Now let's go real quick to Isaiah 14 and read down there where it talks about how thou fallen.
Okay, verse 12. How art thou have fallen from the Shamayim, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend unto the Shamayim, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Lord. And I will sit also upon the mountain of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to Sheol.
Now look at that. The thing that he said that he's going to be like the Most High, as the Most High. So what he was saying that the things that he's going to do and his kingdom is gonna mimic what the Most High already does and how he operates. Now, then you got these evil men, right? And it just going into the aspect of what all they have created through. Now, the Fallens came down here and they taught different crafts and the way to manipulate matter, manipulate time, manipulate orders and all those things, and you will wash them out. But now we still have these rulers of darkness now that's coming up with all this crazy type of technology, right? With the agenda of depopulation, right? To make the numbers of the population go down. Right? You can look up something called the National Security Memo 200, Global 2000, Agenda 21, the King Afro Plan. You look at all of these things, the goal of it is depopulation. Now, how in the world, when you saying there's too many people on Earth, you trying to be a lure.
Right.
Well, you said we need to kill a lot of these people.
Right.
Who do you make yourself?
Right.
So you go look at the earth and say, there's too many of y'all. We just need to start killing all y'all. You know what I'm saying? Who gave you that type of authority and that type of power, right? But the agenda of it is, like the song, I want to kill you soft.
Man.
I want you to accept suicide as a way of life.
Wow.
So the deception has to be, I'm killing you, but you accepting your death.
Man.
You understand what I'm saying? This is why we got to be vigilant. We got to be aware. We got to know what's happening. And we got to quit trusting
The assassin.
the assassins and voting them into power. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because all the agendas
Right.
is the agenda to kill.
Right.
The enemy come nothing but the what?
Steal, kill, and destroy.
Listen, you talking about these some killing machines.
Con.
Like they sit there and find out more ways they can wake up and kill your behind.
Just like we read last
time. So you got to look at it. They use forms of depopulation, and this is warfare. Like the sad thing is, even us as a people, Hebrew people, but I use quote unquote people of color. We don't take nothing serious and realize we in a war.
Right.
Our ignorance keep us believing that we are living a life in normality and don't realize that we are the only nationality that don't realize that there's a race for dominance and war going on, right? So these are the different ways in order to do it, through domestic and international wars, through starvation and famine, where these people take the resources, go into one high in the world. Africa is one of the richest in just resources, precious metals, any and everything. But the people over there starving.
Right.
They controlling all these resources. So they go to places, dominate, and create global famine. Trying to do the same as the Most High. Food warfare. Why would you make GMO food?
Yeah.
But they make it taste so good. Taste so good to us. Like, listen, don't set this aside.
Yeah.
Go and take your suicide. We're going to make it look real pretty, man. And we're going to inject all types of stuff in this thing to start changing your DNA, your genes, right? To continue to destroy you. Bioterrorism, develop of diseases and vaccines. And most of these vaccines, even going back to COVID-19, they got videos from 2014 that it's a patent out for the disease and a patent out for the vaccine. Like all of these stuff is man-made, because I'm talking about they even agreed upon this back in the 60s and 70s, that we have to depopulate, we have to kill, we have to destroy. Right? The medical warfare, that's a whole other thing. Going in the medical field. And all of the things, all the many ways, that's why us as black people, we so afraid to go to the hospital. We do. Listen, we got shot in the leg, stabbed in the neck, and we'll be at that house putting peroxide on it.
Get you some Epsom salt. Get you some ginger ale. Ginger ale. Get you some ginger ale, some Vaseline. You straight.
That's straight, man. Technology warfare, and then one of the other warfare is gender warfare with all this homosexuality and pedophilia and bestiality and abortion and all of these things. But man, they are creating in every construct of things man-made technology in order to bring more destruction. Now, I was looking at the other day, man, that they are actually manipulating and have weather modifications where they can control the weather. They can control hurricanes, they can control rain, and they can put all type of, call it cloud seeding, shoot all type of electric and things in the air, and then also put poison, where the poison, even in the rain, comes down and affect us. This ain't even just talking about how bad chemtrails are, but you talking about you can be rained upon and your flesh soaks it up and it begins to start messing with your bloodstream, start causing headaches, start causing fever, start causing digestion problems. Man, I couldn't believe it. And now this stuff is like documented what they doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but it's proof to it. And I want to show this video that I ran into Lyndon B. Johnson, even back in the 60s, that was talking about that whoever controls the weather controls the world. Right? And if we got that, if we can cue that up to play that video.
As chairman of the Space Council, sent a message to the Congress 2 days after we got back. He said that he was sending it and asked me, said, do you think that the timing of it is about right? And I said, yes, I think the timing is very excellent. But when I came to this town 30 years ago, and President Roosevelt had something that really meant a lot to the people, he would take that message and he would walk down Pennsylvania Avenue himself and look straight in the eyes of that Congress and give it to them in person. And the President said he thought that was a good idea, and he did. And as a result, I think the people in the Congress are going to support it. And that message calls for new frontiers, new visions. It calls for us taking the steps now that will make us no longer second in space and in science. It lays the predicate and the foundation for a space communication satellite that will permit the people of the world to see one television program at the same time throughout the world. Think about that kind of communication, and think about the opportunity that will provide. It lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world. It lays the predicate for the steps that are necessary to send a man to the moon. It lays the steps that's necessary to provide a nuclear rocket that will produce benefits that are so unlimited that I couldn't tell you about them if I had all afternoon. But that's the kind of a world that you're living in.
Man, that's wild to hear. This is we talking about what the 1960s,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking about controlling the weather and dominate. So now we got to ask ourselves. When we look at a lot of these storms
Come on, man.
that have happened, these so-called calamities and these disasters. Were they manipulated, or were they natural disasters?
Right.
Because that's what they've been labeled as, natural disasters. But now, we talking about in the 60s, man, what are they doing?
Right. Right. And then if the goal is remember, if the goal is depopulation, how can you fight against saying they trying to kill us with the weather? If people look at you like you crazy.
Right.
But how many people lost their lives because of natural disaster?
Right.
And if the goal is depopulation and they putting it doing different places in the earth trying to get it to a certain number by a certain date, 2030, 2050, when you look up Agenda 21, Global 2000, King Afro Plan, all of these type of things, you see all of these scales. If I can get you with regular war, I'm going to kill you with that, and you ain't going to indict me as killing you for that.
Right.
I'm going to kill you as with biological warfare. I'm going to put different things in your body. I'm going to put it in the food. I'm going to put it in the medicine. I'm going to put it in all of these things. I'm going to kill you with militia groups and creating nation against nation, the nationality fighting nationality, and all these type of things. I'm going to kill you with gender warfare, where you kill yourself because you're not reproducing for that. And I'm going to push all of these things and manipulating the weather and destroying areas. I destroy whole areas, and many people lose their life because we are trying to get it down to a certain number. This stuff is fast. You can look this stuff up that was been planned for centuries and now being carried out. But we still sleep. We still think that the CIA and all of these places got our best, got our best interests in mind. And this stuff in it, like one place that you can go, a guy that does a great study on this is a guy named Dane Wigginton. And he has a website called geoengineeringwatch.org. And he has like article upon article, classification upon classification that show he didn't spend his life proving how real that this is.
Right.
And showing that this is a thing.
So that makes you wonder about, because remember, I can't think off the top of my head, there was a real bad hurricane in North Carolina a couple years back. And all of a sudden, flood insurance got hard to get. Why wouldn't you get flood insurance?
Right.
Ain't we expecting a season of hurricanes? So that means that they're expecting you to be wiped out.
Right. Right.
And then they can go back and build what they want up there.
Right.
Like, because we can see it. Like, they still talk about the documentary of what Hurricane Katrina, how the levees broke. But they knew that was going to happen.
Right.
But all of a sudden now, what used to have our people is being wiped out, and now they got themselves there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's got to be looked at now for something's being purposely done to change the landscape of different places.
And in landscape, they mean black people.
Gone.
It's always black people.
Gone.
And, I forgot about Prince Harry. Prince Harry had made some comments about Africa a while back when he talked about this from Al Jazeera. Not Prince Harry, but Prince William. He was at in London at some kind of wildlife reserve thing, and he said Africa's rapidly growing human population was putting its wildlife and inhabitants under enormous pressure. So he was proposing that they need to do something about Africa from, basically continue to populate. So Africa is the youngest continent by far in the world. They said that on average, the inhabitant of Africa is like somewhere like 35 years old, something like that, 33 or 35 years old. So he was saying that there need to be something done to depopulate or to reduce the numbers. He didn't say it in them exact words, but he was hinting towards that.
Right.
And going back to what you talking about the what they doing. So listen, it's interesting right now because you have these two sides that's kind of battling out, and about these things that's going on because you got the far right who their base actually understand this stuff is real and it's going on, but their leaders is running on platforms as though they're gonna change it, but not gonna change it.
Right.
And then you got the far left who, you know, they just don't care. They just do whatever because they always get mollywopped by the right.
Right.
So, RFK, Robert Kennedy, whatever.
Yeah, his son.
This past week, did a whole thing where he's before the Department of Health and talking about the shrimp in America. So evidently, the shrimp in America is radioactive.
Wow.
It's radioactive. So he did a whole press conference, and he had a picture of a xenomorph. I don't know if anybody ever seen Aliens, but the aliens are called xenomorphs. And that man said, if you eat this, you're going to turn into a xenomorph. He told Congress this. He said, nobody should be eating shrimp. You know, it need to be shut down. So he talked about all these big, I guess, fisheries or whatever, been shipping in this radioactive shrimp. And I think it come, I don't know if it come from Fukushima, the time the Fukushima meltdown happened. Mm-hmm. But right now, as we speak, people out here eating radioactive shrimp. And then he claimed it's going to change their whole DNA and body type. I thought I had put that thing up, but to have the actual quote from him. But the gist of it is, this stuff is going on right now. Then they released a document not too long ago. 'Cause all this stuff is tied into COINTELPRO too. Right. And there was some neighborhood. I want to say it was in Detroit or something. And they just released some documents about how the government admitted that they was like going back to weather manipulation. They had some kind of fog mist that they were spraying over the whole complex. Mm. And the kids was playing in it, and it had the same effect on them as Agent Orange. Like the kids that they got, as they became adults, they started having all kind of disorders and stuff. And they was giving them radio, and then I guess like whatever they had some kind of like, I guess, neighborhood program or something. They was giving them oatmeal. They was giving them radioactive oatmeal and doing research on them.
Man, that's crazy.
Then, like, man, the end of the day is that it's remarkable that black people want to continue in this manner, constantly seeking to be to cohabitate with people that's trying to kill them. Yeah. And at the end of the day, there is no hope for us in America.
No,
it's just not. I mean, when you're talking about that kind of stuff, and then on top of that, you got their nationalism and their white supremacy is only getting stronger.
Right.
It's how are we gonna be getting stronger in white supremacy in 2025?
Right.
In 2025.
That's crazy.
What you gonna do? As far as what kind of future you gonna have in the country when in 2025 they talking about locking down every black city.
Right.
And putting people in their place about quote unquote crime.
Right.
So, and I mean, I say quote unquote because there is crime happening, but if we talking about the people who are locking people up,
right?
Donald Trump got like 39 felonies or something.
I don't know about crime now.
Man, listen, and for him to run around with the National Guard and then Negroes acting wild, talking about they got switches and then this the National Guard gonna get it.
Should have been walking around that island.
Right.
Right.
And him and
Jeffrey.
Boy.
Yeah.
Now, why we couldn't get the National Guard
right
down that end?
Because he was too busy being entertained. That's why. He would have to bust himself. That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah,
that stuff was wild, man.
It is, man.
Yeah, because the only hope is what what y'all have been advocating to us is the return of the ancient past.
Exactly.
That just like we read in that verse, that we be found doing these things, building a kingdom, building him a place where he can reign, where he can recognize himself in us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we ain't gonna get that in America, because America is just like you said. I remember you talking about this years ago in a lesson about how this place, America, is really their religious land,
Con.
their land of freedom. Why? Because this is the place where they can run amok.
Right.
They can't do this nowhere else.
Right.
And this is a place where they can do and ensue their wildest dreams.
But it's also a place where we can't do nothing else anywhere else.
Right.
Because man, we've been so influenced by them
Yeah.
that we don't fit in nowhere.
Right.
We go to the continent, we cause problems for them.
Big
Other
con.
countries cause problems for them because we are so dysfunctional.
Right.
Because we've accepted everything that they're giving us. Any kind of then social media is the biggest weapon that was ever created. Social media is a nuclear bomb
Right.
in the psyche of black people.
Right.
And because all you need to do is get the people that ain't got no culture, and then just change their culture every year.
Right.
Then and our people is so dysfunctional because of our lack of community and stability. And again, they of course they the ones who did it to us. It's not like we chose to be like this.
Right.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's still a reality. And then if I don't know how we're gonna get out of this mindset and situation without some type of drastic change, because we lack, because of our traumas, we lack trust at a mega level.
Right.
And the only thing that will bring us together is some massive event,
Con.
and you will forbid that it will take all that, but it look like it's gonna take all that.
Con.
And you be walking right down the path into this stuff, like this stuff that happened to that dude that got shot.
Con.
Man, listen, if you can't see the writing on the wall,
Man.
Right.
because
In broad daylight like that,
man, listen,
with thousands of people.
because if I heard a comedian say this, and it's like, not comedian, it's a guy on YouTube. He said, "What?" Because immediately they started making death threats to HBCUs.
Nah, I don't understand that.
Immediately,
Nah, you talking about Utah. You talking about the
Man.
whitest
What man?
state.
Right. That's their promised land.
You know what I'm saying? And you talk about it was Lily. I'm talking about
Lily.
White around that. And they know they doing their thing. They talking.
Right.
Boy, he giving this speech.
Right.
How did that make its way
Directly.
directly to HBCUs getting bombed?
Yeah, y'all better not come outside.
Right? And we ain't nowhere near.
We ain't nowhere there.
Utah.
You ain't seen none of us over in Utah.
Man.
But we better not come outside.
Right. And who you just see, how many quote unquote black snipers that you done seen assassinating people?
I only know of one.
Huh? You know how?
He was in D.C. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
But he ain't getting no officials.
No,
Nah.
man. So I just show you like they gonna find a reason to put their hate on us. Like, bro, we ain't got nothing to do with that dude that got shot. We ain't know what was going on with him. Hate that for his family and all that. The little fella that shot him, crazy. I don't know how in the world. He 22 years old and he's sniping somebody. Can you imagine that?
Spot him, got him.
22 years old?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I'm just saying, like, hey, man, that just show you the hatred in the land some kind of way.
Right.
It had to find its way to our doorstep.
Yeah.
We over here in the backyard cooking hot, don't know what's happening, and now we got a whole rally while we try to put meat on the grill. We don't know what's going on. Why y'all shot? We was back here cooking hot. You know what I'm saying? So it's
They go back to what we just read, though. The times that we living in.
Yeah.
Nation against nation,
100%.
man against man, kingdom against kingdom. That's what we seeing right before our face. And you got to be involved to really see it for what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that becomes the thorn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The rise of nationalism. And we the only ones without a nation. So we shook.
Nationality.
Yeah, everybody else got something.
Old
Definitely.
nation,
What y'all?
tired.
We a color.
We is a color.
We a crayon.
Blight. You're blight.
Listen, I'm seeing videos. People talking about they leaving America. A lot of the white people leaving America now. They going back to the Netherlands. and some of these other places, and Negroes like we're gonna go just pick a spot on the on the continent. They ain't got no kind of tie to it, or understanding. They ain't got no kind of reference if they got any relatives there, and we got DNA tests, so we're gonna go to. A DNA test is the most random thing to try to figure out where you're from, because at the end of the day, all it means is your people's dead at some point in time.
Right.
That's all it means.
That's all it means. So but
man, you better seek your whore
Right.
on where to go.
Right.
You going nowhere, just setting up shop.
Right.
You'll be coming back.
Right.
So I forgot to tell you about that. So I seen this video. I don't know how true it is, but they saying that some kind of wild stuff is supposed to be going on in Ghana, and they had over 50,000 people have to evacuate and go down to Ivory Coast. Some kind of some kind of chaotic whatever that's been kicking off down there. And I don't know if that's true or not. If anybody watches this video, if you know that's true, you can comment on it or whatever. But
Have you a plan, man?
Right.
All we saying, have you a plan?
Right.
That'll be well thought out, sought out. If you're making a move like that, be led by the Most High.
God.
With that, and He'll lead and guide you in all truth. But you just don't want to go from one captivity right on to another captivity.
no, man.
You should be tired of that.
So you better be led by Yahuwah. He'll lead and guide
God.
if you want to be led and guide. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Well, that's all we got for y'all today. Appreciate everybody for listening. Pray that as we begin to go into this feast season, that everybody keep their focus on the Most High during this time. We got any announcements need to make?
It's pretty soon. We're in the middle of trying to develop, or not trying to develop, but developing, and hopefully pretty soon releasing some new content from D28. We're still in the middle of completion, so it's not ready. But hopefully here pretty soon you'll see some stuff that we doing that's gonna tie into RTT and all those type of things. So everybody just be ready.
Hallelujah. Speaking of RTT, Reclaiming the Throne theatrical experience, we are doing a reload where we're doing another event. It'll be in Augusta, Georgia, at the same Augusta State campus that it was done maybe about a year or so ago. It'll be October the 24th. That's a Friday. So we want everybody to come out. It's going to be a live recording. And we're doing it so we can get the live recording on it. So we asking, bring your mother, sister, brother, uncle, auntie, everybody there. And the event will possibly be free. At the most, it'll be like $5, and that'll just be a donation. We ask for donations in. But the goal of it is actually to get it captured the way we want to. So we would love for you to come down and be a part of that. Again, October the 24th, that's a Friday. We'll let you know when the doors is open up. You'll start seeing much advertising and things for it. So come on down, be with us during that time, and you'll see something that you ain't never seen before, experience that you ain't never experienced before, as you come and see our history throughout the ages in song and dance and theater. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Anything else?
No. So, yeah.
Yeah. Shalom everybody in the house. Smart in the line. We talk to y'all later.
Rebirth of a nation, Hebrew kingdom building.